In today's video on Odd Things Repaired, I'm going to be looking at a Land Rover Td5 ECU. Now, there are two types: MSB, the early ones, non-programmable, and NNN, which are programmable. So I've got an MSB, I've got an early Td5, and I bought a spare MSB ECU, and I'm going to convert it to be fully programmable, the same as the NNN. So I'll take you on that journey with me. Got to take it apart, change the processor, load the bootloader. So we'll do a bit of surgery on the ECU, and hopefully at the end of this video we'll see the Td5 running on this converted ECU. So before we get started, we're going to be plugging this in using our adapter that we made and reading what we can read from this ECU, so we can flash the original firmware off this one-way programmable CPU, or not CPU, EEPROM, and set it back to default. So first thing to do is hook all this up and download what we can download out of here. So we're all hooked up. That's the interface there. So that's just reading the map from that at the moment. Again, via our cables that we did, via that hooked up there to the bench power supply. So I've got it set to 13.7 because the OCD won't let me set it to 13.8, but it's not drawing a lot of power. And it's hooked into this laptop, which I'm remoted into and recording the screen for you guys. Okay, so we're going to take the lid off the ECU. There we look. Security Torx. So it's the Torx with the holes, and you always wonder what they were for in your toolbox, but that's exactly what they're for. Let me go and get mine. So mine's T20 Torx. So I've already cracked that one off. So I'm not going to show you undoing some screws. I want to rip the cover off. Sometimes these are sealed, so you sometimes have to go around here with a bit of heat, apparently. Or stick it on the radiator or something like that, I don't know. But looking at this looks like this has been apart before. You might even find the ROM's already socketed, but we'll find out. Alright, so screws are out, lid's off. There's just a little bit of sealant still sticking that side. So this is the inside. Now what worries me a little bit is I don't know why that writing's there. So I'm not quite sure what that is. But what I do know, I'll just turn it round, is that's what we're going to be changing, I think. Well, I think it's that one. Yeah, I think so. But they're covered in like a silicone-y sealant. Yeah, it's all sticky and tacky. So I've got some silicone remover. So I'm just going to go and wipe that round there, I think, and do that. Yeah, wipe a bit of silicone remover around that. Then I think a little bit of IPA to clean that off the board, and then we'll do that. But what do they mean? And I'll flip the video that you've already seen. I'm turning it around for me. What does that say? Is that SW or JW? 5W, R4. Is that original Land Rover writing? Or has somebody been there before repairing stuff? Doesn't look like there's been any repairs. Well, not from this side, anyway. God, that's an old capacitor, isn't it? So I guess the through-bore components are put through from this side and soldered on the other side. Should we take the other side off and have a look at that as well? That just so that's a screw through. No, I don't think I'm gonna leave well alone. One job at a time. I wonder what the design was there originally, to have another something there. I wonder what they were thinking. I'll say this is an MSB one. I'll zoom in there. Oh well, if you want to see inside one of these ECUs, there you go. The electronics guy in me just says change that capacitor anyway, but I'm going to leave well alone. Quite nice, aren't they, really? Anyway, right, I'm going to clean all this and get that ready for desoldering. Wow, look, it's the return of the ZEP, the silicon sealant remover that we use on the diff. I don't know how focused that is through there, but probably not. Let's put you that side. So yeah, just going to use the ZEP to put a little bit around there just to break that silicon. So what can possibly go wrong, eh? Who knows? Right, my lamp is broken. Anyway, so that's the old EEPROM. So taking that out, I've just cleaned all the pins because I'm going to stick it in my programmer to read it anyway. And if I go over to the board, and I've cleaned the board up now, so that should be ready to attach the socket to. This is the rework station I've got. Essentially, hot air out there. My only tip with this, if you're doing that, is a gentle breeze of hot air. Don't go blasting it like a jet, because you'll just cook everything on the board and blow all this other stuff off. So gentle breeze, somewhere between 350, 380 centigrade on the temperature, but go with more heat and less breeze. So don't turn the breeze up, just increase the temperature 5-degree increments, and go down from a high distance just to warm the area up, because you don't want any thermal shock. And then gradually bring the nozzle down, then just go around and be patient. Keep an eye on the solder. You'll see it start to go. I put flux, paint on flux around it, so you can start to see the flux melting, and you'll start to see the solder mounting, and then sort of gently just give it a bit of a nudge, and as soon as you start seeing it moving, it's nearly gone. Keep going round and round and round. Quick nudge, and you'll see it start to go. Once one corner goes, you're about 5-10 seconds away from the rest of it going, and then it will just flick off. And hopefully you don't pull any tracks off. So just take your time, be patient.
2 hours later.
I'm now going to read it hopefully see if it'll read with that programmer. Rightio, so use an adapter. That's my adapter. There's the original chip. I peeled the label off it just to confirm it was definitely the right chip. And I've read the map. Okay, so on the screen we've got it all hooked up. I set my device. I know what it is. I've already set it. Atmel, and I've already picked it out of the list, but it's there as one of my favourites now, so I'll pick that. I select it. It's doing its thing, and we read it. Bosh, done. It's all sitting in the buffer, so check that these aren't all FF or FC or something like that, and you'll see here there's starting to be hex ASCII readable stuff. So there's data there. That's all very well. Just do file, save as, and you can save it as a .bin file. I'm not going to do that because I've already done that. Okay, so I've loaded up the MEMS mapper. Now I'm going to open my file, and initially when you read the file you're going to get an error like that. Okay, don't worry about it. It's to do with the checksum fail that's set in the factory firmware and map. So don't worry about it. In here you can go to Tools, Project Tools, mark firmware valid, and it'll do that. So once you've done that, save it. Well, I'm going to go to Wizards, and I'm going to apply the patch so that I can load it into the ROM that's got the bootloader on it. So I've done all that. Then you save it. And what I'm going to do is open one I've done earlier. So you can see from my file here, file name, base map, bootloader patched. Open that. It's now valid with a valid checksum. Click OK. That would now be ready to load onto the new chip via OBD port. But before I do that, I've got to go and fit a socket and the new chip into the ECU. So I've just got to get that socket onto the board.
There's been another fuck up.
I had no choice but to break the back out of the socket, because these are cheap copied sockets that melt with the hot air. So I couldn't use a hot air to solder the socket on, or this particular socket on, because it's a cheap copy of it's just ABS plastic, so it just melts. So since it's not going to be in and out, I broke the back out of it, and a lot of people do this anyway, but I've broke the back out of it and soldered it in. So there you go. Hopefully you can see that. This is like recording in the dark because I can't actually see what you're seeing. So there you go. Let's get the chip in, see if it works. That's what it's been replaced with. An AT29C1024. We're hooked up on the bench with the bench test rig we made, and we'll see if it's working. So that's what we're set at. So it's not drawing a lot of power, and you can't see the data whizzing past on the leads. So we'll just see what it is when it's recording. Oh, apparently, look, it's getting close. Getting close. Is it going to work? So we're going to get a it's good, it's not. This is writing the firmware, original firmware back. Okay. So we've not had a problem. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disconnect everything, put the screws back in the ECU, plug my scanner back into it and read the ECU, and then I'm going to flash it with a standard Defender Td5 map, because this ECU was from a Discovery, and we'll take it from there. I have to switch the ignition off. There we go, ignition is off. Okay. Well, it's reading it. Okay, so well, it's not complaining and it's reading the chip, so I'd class that as a win. My fingers are that dry. The screen doesn't pick it up. There we go. Let's clear fault memory, see if it will actually do it. There'll still be a load there because there's not a lot else plugged into the ECU, is there? But cool, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to load up a file. Okay, and I'll show you the process exactly. So if I went to write that straight away, it will detect that it's not patched for the bootloader. So it will. One thing I do need to do is switch the ignition on the ECU. So if I just click right, it gives me the warning, as you can see, that it's not been patched. Do I want to patch it? Yes, I do. That's now patched. This time I do want to verify successful write, and off we go. So this is now converting that Discovery MSB into Defender MSB with the latest version of the firmware release from the factory. So it's still completely stock, not tuned, but this just shows the process of basically giving me a converted MSB ECU that I can keep in stock. So happy days. Happy days. So I'm recording the audio for this, but I will be speeding it up. So you're probably watching a speeded up version of this while I'm just doing some commentary. It's quite exciting. Of course, I haven't got my car here to plug it into, but that'll be the next step. Plug the ECU in and see if it works. Well, it worked before. So electronics wise, I think we've done that. We need to give a massive shout out to Andrew for all the work he puts into this. So, oh, it's learning the mobiliser code. It's going to verify it. I wonder where it's learning the mobiliser code from, because there's not an immobiliser plugged in. I meant to untick that box actually, but never mind. And I've asked it to verify. So again, we'll speed that up. Cool, nearly done. Verify okay. Happy days. So we can see there the main map ID is now 019, which is the latest Defender 10p base map from the factory. I'm pretty pleased with that. Wow, I hope you enjoyed that video for converting my MSB ECU for my TD5. I haven't got the Land Rover here to plug it in and show it running, but that'll be in another video, and we'll get it all plumbed in and take it from there. But I quite enjoy doing that, to be honest. I'll put the link up to Andrew's website where you can get all the information on doing what I've just done. It looks a bit fiddly, but you know, I've done it with hot air. The hardest part is probably getting the original EEPROM off the board, but it can be done. So I did it with hot air. In the end, I just soldered the socket back on. That was an interesting thing actually, because I used to do hot air, taking these sockets or socketing chips and all sorts of those sort of format of chips on computer motherboards, and the plastic was a much higher temperature plastic, so you could really get in there with a hot air gun, hot air rework station. But the socket I went to fit in here, as soon as you get near it with the hot air, it's like it starts melting. So hence I had to pop the back out of it, and I understand why. I've seen that done on other people doing these sort of things. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that, and what a lot of work's gone into the software to do it. So next thing to do is work out what to tweak in the map and have a little go at playing with the car without killing the car. Right, and with that, I would say that is that an odd thing repaired? I mean, I suppose so. I don't know. Anyway, until the next one, thanks for watching.